Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to this session. Just drop in the chat where you are tuning in from, what has you attending, and drop something that you are passionate about in the chat. Maybe you're passionate about your family, you're passionate about making a change in the world, a positive impact. Let us know in the chat, and we will get started here in just one moment. Let us know where you're tuning in from, how you heard of this and why you're here. And I will introduce our speakers in a moment, and we will be on our way to go. And also, if you are joining, if you could please just mute yourself so we get nice, clear audio for the benefit of everybody in attendance. Thank you so much. All right, I see Vincent says, Dublin, referred by a friend as I'm interested in health and wellness. Fantastic. Great to have you here, Vincent. All right, I see Carrie, Zafira, Remy, Tuve. I hope I said that correctly. I still have to brush up on my Scandinavian pronunciations. Zafira says, hey everyone, I'm from Greece. I'm passionate about helping others, people, and animals. Remy says, Stockholm, Sweden. I want to change the world through frequencies in different ways. Carrie, if I could just ask you to mute yourself, please, there in the background. Thank you so much. All right, Faye, joining from Thailand. I use shungite to protect from EMF. I'm passionate about the environment. That's beautiful. So we're all tribe here. We're all among friends, right? We share common values. Tuva from Norway, fantastic. We have everybody. All right, so let's get started. My name is Tariq EQ Amawi. I'm a speaker, thought leader, and really an advocate for freedom and just being able to live what we were here on this planet to do. And it brings me a great amount of honor to be able to introduce to you our speakers here today. I will be joined by Maneka Helleberg and Professor Dolores Cahill. So I will save Dolores for last. Maneka is somebody that I feel blessed to call a friend over a number of years. She is a mother of four, an entrepreneur, a science teacher turned freedom advocate, and also is the chair of the World Freedom Alliance. So definitely a stand for sovereignty, freedom, truth, and just being able to live as we were intended on this blessed green earth. And next, I would like to introduce Professor Dolores Cahill, who honestly has a bio that's so long that I had to truncate it down to a few lines just to be able to get this show on the road. But she's she's a world-renowned immunologist, and I mean her list of credentials are just staggering. She is very much an ambassador and an advocate for freedom. She is the president of the World Freedom Alliance. So you are really here in the space with experts in their field and also people who passionately care about people and humanity and moving us into and ushering us into a whole new era on this planet. So thank you, Maneka. Thank you, Dolores, for joining. And let us know what you're excited about in the chat. I would love to hear from you and where you're tuning in from and anything. Just keep it vibing, right? Because here it's all about that exchange. So we will bring the energy, we will bring the education, and you just bring your presence, turn off all other distractions, put your phone away, and just be here present with us, because the information that you will learn today might just change your next few months. It might just change your next few years. All right, let's get going. So we're here to create a positive impact, right? We're here to create safe havens, sovereign villages around the world. We see the new Earth, but the new Earth isn't some other planet. The new Earth are the pockets of innovation and doing things in a new way, right? That are springing up all over the world, sprouting like mushrooms. We want to build the new through education, through research centers, health clinics, infrastructure for community, and more. And also give you the time and resources to make the world a better place for our generation, but also for our kids' generation. This is also going to include a lot of water awareness and what is happening around water awareness internationally. There are a number of different projects. And so as you tune into this, if you like the information that you're getting here and you want to dive deeper, then just let the person know who brought you to this meetup, and we'll be happy to put you on the journey towards your own health and wealth, sovereignty, freedom, and all the good stuff that life has to offer. All right, let's keep going. So before we can talk about solutions, let's identify a few of the key problems, right? Now, obviously, there's different challenges that we face in different parts of the world, but there are some that are ubiquitous, that are unanimous across the board. And that is that we are facing a time of unprecedented levels of toxins in our water, food, and air. And thanks to the digitization of culture, of our society, right? All of these cell towers springing up, everybody's using a laptop or a phone, people have their Wi-Fi modems. You can't go to an apartment building without logging into 7, 8 different Wi-Fi connections. So we are being bombarded by frequencies that are out of alignment and discordant with our natural bioresonant frequencies. So we'll be talking about the increasing levels of radiation and how we can soothe that and get that back to equilibrium and homeostasis. And then we'll also be talking about financial instability, because in a time of soaring inflation and salary rises not quite meeting that demand, and everything that's been happening around the world, especially post-pandemic, we need genuine solutions to be able to move us into better states of wealth and abundance and affluence, so that we can provide for the ones we love and also provide for the next generation. So who feels like that is a good set of subjects to dive into? Drop it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Is this something that you would like to know more of? Again, we're not simply here to present you with the problems. We're here to outline and share some of the challenges, but then also show you some viable solutions for being able to neutralize all of these threats in our environment. I see yes from Claudia. I see Desiree from Germany, currently living in Japan. I'm passionate about, so many comments coming through. I'm passionate about teaching others and holistic living. Brilliant, Desiree. You're in the right place. I see Louise says, yes, please. Zafira, yes, yes. I see Faye says, yes. All right, let's dive in. So that brings me to the very first speaker today. Please give a virtual round of applause for Professor Dolores Cahill.
Very good. Lovely to be on with everyone from around the world. And thank you, Tariq, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you to Maneka as well for all the support and everything that we have both done over the years, particularly in educating people about water. So I'm very honored. So as you say, Tariq, we're just really trying to educate people that there are solutions. And first of all, if you're going to invest your time in a solution, you need to know really an introduction to what the issues are. So for many years now, we have known that there are many things in our water, in our tap water, that are not healthy for us. And many people around the world think their own particular tap water is beautiful and pristine, when in fact, if you test it, it isn't. And also we've seen that some of the water facilities and utilities are actually buying compounds or treating water with things that are very toxic. And it is known that toxic elements like fluoride and arsenic and chlorine and aluminium are in the water. And so this is quite a serious problem. But on the other hand, the positive news is that if you can filter your water and remove these items, it's one of the simplest steps that you can do to reduce the toxic load on your body, reduce the toxins that your organs, like your liver and your kidneys, have to eliminate from the water and from your body. And is one of the things as well that for your family members who may not be as concerned or aware about water issues, that if you get a solution that removes some of these toxins, you can improve the health of yourself and your loved ones in one simple step. And I've actually used this myself. And one of the things that we're working on as well is that what I'm working on with my network of physicians and doctors is that what we do need is kind of a journey towards health. And I think making, we'll say, one change at a time, and trying to make that journey towards health and detox as simple as possible. Because what I find is we're bombarded a lot with all of the detox solutions that we have. And when I went to do a detox, I actually started with water myself. So that's why I'm very happy to recommend it for other people. And one of the things as well, there is a connection between the functioning of, the quality of the water that you drink and how much water you actually drink. Because if your body knows that the water is not good for it, you may be less inclined to drink water. And also, it's well known that there are many symptoms, including around brain fog and, and issues around chronic fatigue that are associated with dehydration. So if you have confidence that your water is pristine and structured and it doesn't have toxins, you can feel more relaxed and drink more water. The other thing is there is a very big connection between the pH of the water and your health, and also around inflammation. So there is an aspect that for the immune system to work well, you need to not be dehydrated, because there is a tissue fluid, or it's called lymph, that is then removed from the blood that goes into all of the cells and bathes the cells of your body, and that goes back into join the blood through the lymphatic system. But if you are dehydrated and if some of your detox organs are not working well, then it can mean that the immune system isn't working well, and that can lead to a lot of autoimmune conditions, and also pain in the liver and in the kidneys, and also that you have skin problems, chronic skin problems and chronic autoimmune conditions. So if you can gently detox your body, have a look to see if your organs are working, and then drink lots of healthy, structured water at the proper pH, you can actually alleviate for you and your loved ones a lot of chronic symptoms. So healthy water, not being dehydrated, allows the immune system to work, and it is the immune system that protects you from autoimmune diseases and from other later diseases such as cancer. So it's just, when I was working as well for 20 years, we did PhDs and also educational publications around the connection of the role of the immune system, doing immune surveillance, looking for early cancer cells, that a proper working immune system can actually eliminate cells that can become cancerous in the future. So not being dehydrated, having a good detox organs, and having a well-functioning lymph and autoimmune system is very conducive to reducing autoimmune diseases and autoimmune diseases that progress towards cancer.
All right. Thank you. Dolores, do you want to share anything more before I continue?
No, I just think, and as well as that, well, what I have done is I used to make machines like mass spectrometers that were for 20, 30 years the gold standard for testing, blood, and used in diagnostic labs, and also testing water. So it's very important that people really understand the quality of the water that they're drinking, they and their loved ones. And also then what we can do is compare and contrast the ways of filtering and structuring our water. And that I have done that in my own family. And I'm very happy with some of the top solutions that we can get, that can be proven and tested, that they're actually removing some of these toxins from the water.
Right. And Faye asks a question here, Dolores, that I think is one for you. She says, I use the zero water filter. With it, I get a 3 or 4 parts per million reading. It brews good quality colloidal silver water. Do you think this is good enough? She asks.
So I think the thing is, because I'm not a medical doctor, and because what I would do is a standardized scientific approach where you take tap water and then you use whatever systems you have available, and then compare the results for one batch of water, which is what Maneka and I are doing. We have an international water awareness, and you can't just pick one solution. You have to do it scientifically, and then do the evidence base for the comparison between different solutions for the same source of water. And that's partly what we're doing in the community that we have here.
I can jump in there real short because, like you said, Dolores, we're working in the International Water Awareness, which is a collaboration between scientists around the world. And what we have found is that it's not just about the toxins in the water. There are many different aspects to the water that are very important, like the minerals in the water or the structure and the pH level, etc. So that's what Tariq is going to jump into right now, that it's very good to start with filtration, but then there's much more to water than just that.
Yeah, thank you, Maneka. And feel free to chime in, by the way, because I know this is an area that you're passionate about and know a lot about. I think it was David Avocado Wolf who said, if you don't use a filter, you become the filter. And that really, for me, just puts it into perspective that so many of us are drinking water that we think is good for us, but actually it's in the small print from the municipal piping that their role is not to give you clean water. Their goal is to just get you water. So as long as they have the water showing up in your tap and you turn on the faucet and out water comes, they've done their part. It's actually up to you to make sure that it's good for you to drink. Did you know that? Most people don't. So there's a few places in the world where the water quality is high enough that it actually restores us back to our original template, back to our natural state of health and vibrancy and vitality. And one of those places is Okinawa, Japan. Another place is Nordenau in Germany. And another place is right here, I'm in France at the moment, Lourdes in France. So there are a few places that still have this really highly potent source water, this living structured water. But for most of us, we're drinking denatured, dead tap water or bottled water that's full of BPAs and microplastics and things like that. And of course, like anything, it's not brushing your teeth with fluoride once that's bad for you. It's doing it over many years and how that wears on your system. So the technology that we use, that we've identified as the solution, and that the World Freedom Alliance is now really standing behind, right? So it just gives you an idea of how potent a solution this can be, is the technology we work with mimics the most powerful natural springs in the world, but from your home, from your tap, from your kitchen. And it creates a type of water called electrolyzed reduced water, ERW. There's lots, I think there's thousands of PubMed studies on electrolyzed reduced water. And it's basically, it's water that carries an ionic charge. You are a living electrical system. So if you're drinking water that has an ionic charge, then you are supporting the natural systems of your body. So this has a negative charge, right? So it's ionized. A lot of water that you drink, especially from the water that's used in sodas and things like that, it's very oxidizing, right? You know, when you leave an apple out and it turns brown, that's oxidation. So the opposite of that is to have ionized water with a negative charge. And when you go out in nature and you stand with your feet in the grass and it feels really good, it's because you're receiving all those negative ions from nature, and nature is ridding your body of the inflammation and the positive ions. So maybe either Maneka or Dolores, if you'd like to jump in and just speak to that very briefly.
You mean about the negative charge or the structure?
Yeah, I mean, either anything that we touched on so far.
Yes, so it's a bit like what I mentioned before, that a lot of people they start with filtering their water, and that's beautiful, that's great. But then when you dive into water technology, like the Nagic technology that we recommend, and the solution that is very high level and certified on many, many areas, you see that you need to both purify but also ionize and structure, and make the water alkaline and make it full of molecular hydrogen, because all of those aspects together makes the water resemble these natural spring water, where people have actually gone through healings over a number of years, and where researchers have done research now for over 50 years on this water. So it's medical grade, and it's made in Japan, and it makes not just the drinking water, but it makes other kinds of water that also can help you to detoxify your whole home. So you can clean with the water, you can even disinfect with the water. And one really important feature is that you can make water that is like an emulsifier, where you can put vegetables in the water and remove pesticides and remnants of pesticides. So even if you eat ecological food and these things, it can come, remnants of pesticides from the neighboring field or from toxins from the air, etc. So this is kind of like a model where you can detoxify and make the water really, really healthy, and also detoxify your home. So that's what I would say about this amazing technology that we recommend.
Thank you, Maneka. Yes, and so we're really here to present you with this information and this education on why these things are so important, but also we've done the due diligence, we've done the research to find you what we feel are the best solutions. And so rather than you having to go out there and just be bombarded with all of the different things that are out there, there's a reason that we've chosen these specific solutions, and we'll share more about that here. But also, if you want to dive further, then please contact the person who shared this presentation with you, and they'll be happy to show you more than what we have time to cover here today. So as you can see, this particular water solution has all of these certifications, right? The gold standard, right? ISO awards all over the world. And that really what sets this apart from, other options that are out there.
And maybe just to add, Tariq, I know I've tested about 4 different ways of filtering the water. And some of the issues I had, we'll say years ago, was that it was becoming difficult, at least in Ireland, to get filters at the right time. And then it was not so easy to wonder whether there was only 1 or 2 things being filtered out of the water. And then I moved on to boiling and ionization. And when you look at that, it used to take maybe 3 hours to boil about 10 liters of water, which when you have many people visiting, and also you're removing essential elements that are needed. So if you remove all of the minerals from the water over a long time, you then can have certain adverse effects in your body by not getting the proper balance of minerals. So, with every type of filtration system, there are pros and cons, as you know. And so partly why I've ended up with this is from just testing other systems as well.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, I know from having looked at different water devices and things out there, a lot of them use mesh plates, and those mesh plates tend to degrade and deteriorate over time. And then you get all of those metal particulates flaking off into the water. Whereas this particular Japanese solution, it's solid titanium plates, double dipped in medical grade platinum, and they don't wear away, they don't degrade. So there's a lot that's happening underneath the bonnet, right, beneath the hood, that we don't necessarily see. And it's not necessarily comparing apples to apples, right? There's a lot of things that make one far superior than the other, especially when you start to look at it holistically and see everything that it's doing. So what you can expect is increased hydration. In fact, drinking this type of water is as antioxidant as eating a bowl of blueberries, right? It has antioxidant properties, it's increased cellular function, detoxification of toxins and acidity. I've seen blood panels before and after drinking this water, where you start to see all that lubrication among the red blood cells, and they're moving and flowing again, rather than, what's the word? You'll probably be able to help me here, Dolores, where they all stack up like poker chips.
Yeah, I think it's aggregation
It was a
or
wrong,
clumping.
yeah, it was an R word. I thought it was an R word.
Roulade,
Yes.
Roula, roulade. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yes,
the French.
roulade.
Perfect.
Right, yes. So when blood gets that roulade effect through EMFs, and see, this all fits together, right? It's all connected. Who would have thought? It's all connected. So when you start drinking this water and you start to allow that movement to come back into your blood cells, and it helps you with the EMF, and it's all connected together. So the reason that we stand by this particular company is because there's a lot of different technology springing up all the time, right? I mean, just look at the advancements in technology over the last couple of years alone. However, when it comes to an actual viable solution, you want that long-standing track record. You want that long-standing reputation, that worldwide thriving infrastructure, and that way you don't have any supply chain issues. That way you can always get the filters that you need. You can always get the things that you need. So Enagic actually turns 50 years old next month, which is a monumental achievement for any company. So they really have been helping millions of people all over the world. And their motto is change your water, change your life. And we can definitely attest to that being the case. It's changed our lives in so many ways. There's now over 40, is it 40 offices in 23 countries? I believe it's 40 offices. Yeah, 40 different locations across 23 countries. So next, we would like to speak about EMF protection, and I invite Maneka to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, both Dolores and Tariq. So the next problem that we're facing is the rising uses of technology that emits radiation. And this is something that me and Dolores have been talking about for many, many years. We've been inviting experts to speak on. I know you, Dolores, spoken to many of the world experts in radiation on your radio show. We also had a whole hearing in Norway with around, I think it was 70, 80 people last autumn around this, where the research community and a lot of very known people such as Robert Kennedy Jr., etc., are really highlighting how important it is to be aware of this development and the harmful effects that it can have. And this is just a picture to show you, like when I was young, and many of us, we played outside, we didn't have a mobile phone or a tablet at all. And today, I think every parent knows that you're kind of fighting against this technology taking over in your homes, even in some schools, and especially also when you go into the cities, the radiation is crazy, and the levels are often much, much higher than they should be in many different areas, and it's just increasing and increasing all the time. So this is just to give you an idea of how radiation is measured and what is acceptable and what isn't. And actually, when we speak to some of the experts in the field, like we had, me and Dolores held a seminar just a couple of weeks ago, the health hazards and solutions. If you want to dive deeper into this, we had Mona Nilsson there, one of the main researchers in the world that also represented the Swedish Radiation Foundation. And so she said that it's actually even lower that is acceptable than you can see here. But the radiation covers a spectrum of frequencies, like waves, like longer or shorter waves, and all the way from very low frequencies to radio frequencies and then microwave frequencies. And understanding the sources and frequencies of EMF radiation is very critical to recognizing potential health risks associated with the long-term exposure. So the consequences of EMF and is of course over time very serious, and there's massive research really showing this, where it can lead to various problems such as cellular damage, oxidative stress, disruption of biological processes, neurological disorders. Sleeping deprivation is very, very common, and also headaches, lots of stress related and nervous problems, etc. But the problem is that you can't really see it. It's not like you see it, the waves around you, but you can actually measure it, which is something that more and more people become aware of, and more people get their own measurement devices and can actually see the levels in their home. And I can just say for us, one of the big reasons why we moved out to the countryside with our two kids was that when we lived just outside of Gothenburg, they put up a radio tower that we could see from our kitchen window. And we had someone come to our house and measure the radiation levels, and they were much, much higher than we wanted. We didn't want our kids to grow up in that. So that's one of the reasons where we like we have no reception here almost out in the woods, but we're very happy that there's no radiation here. So we've been aware of that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, also, we live out here in the middle of the vineyards for that reason. Like you can only find our Wi-Fi network. That's the only one that's available. And we're in this position where we might be in that technically form of luxury, right? Where we have so much nature around us, but think about the millions who don't. Think about the people who are in the city grid, who are basically bombarded by these frequencies on a daily basis. If you feel like this is a cause worth getting behind, you can help those people. So even if we live out in nature, we can now support other people who don't. And that's the idea, right? Is to really make this available to the masses.
Hmm. So the solution that is brand new from Enagic, and I'm so honestly so proud of this company for doing this. They put over 7 years of research. They have lots of studies behind it. They have certifications like anything they do. And they came up with a device that you can use to protect yourself and your family against the EMF, negative effects from EMF. And the beautiful thing is that you also can take it with you. So you can have it in your car, you can have it in your office. It's just an USB port like charger for it. And I know people are looking into also maybe even being able to carry it with you. I don't know exactly, how that would work, but it creates like a field around you and your family that actually protects you, and you can measure it very, very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first EMF protector neutralizer that I've seen where the readers actually drop fully to zero. I've never seen that before. And there's a recent article I just read actually about people in electric cars that it's the equivalent of basically being microwaved the whole time. So we think that just because this technology is available and everybody's using their phones and their Wi-Fi and it must be okay because the long-term data hasn't really fully started to emerge yet. So for us, it's just an amazing synergy that the organization that we fully believe in that's creating this water that is a return to our origin happens to also be the same company that's just released literally a few days ago. It was on the 15th of May here in Europe, and it'll be the end of May in Australia, and then probably with the US and others to follow as well, that they've just made this heavy duty EMF neutralizer
Mm.
um, available.
But it is the same kind of technology, which is important to understand. Like both radiation and toxins and all of this carries a positive charge that creates oxidative stress, and you know about this, Dolores, as well. So what both the water and the EMF protection does is it counteracts this positively charged like interference with us in our system and creates the negative charge that actually
Mhm.
counteracts and kind of nullifies these things. Yeah, would you like to mention?
Yeah, and just to say that many of us have quite sophisticated readers in our home. So I think the good news is that if people do get this Emguarde technology, they can actually measure for themselves the reduction in the radiation. And I think it's important if you have young people or if you're working on laptops, or if you have a car that's run on electricity, it's quite shocking, and the adverse effects are probably chronic and long term. So people haven't really noticed, a lot of the adverse events. But I think what's important is that people can measure for themselves whether the impact of the Emguarde technology and the reduction for themselves, which I think is very powerful.
Definitely. Yeah, should we go on, Tariq? Yeah, so the what it does is that it creates a radius of 8 meters, or a radius of 4 meters, a diameter of 8 meters, where you are protected from the negative effects from the EMF. And also, if you're using a phone or a computer or any actually electrical device, this emits this EMF that is negative for us. So if we have the Emguarde with us everywhere we go, you can actually, like Dolores said, you can actually measure how it goes down to zero. So you're not experiencing those negative effects any longer.
Yeah, beautiful, Maneka.
Yeah.
So,
So that was all about the Emguarde. And I just wanted to say as well that the Emguarde is um, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. What was I going to
So I
say?
think it's actually part of the offering from the company, and it's considered as one of the units as well if you want to be involved in the enterprise aspects, right?
Oh yes, maybe that's what I wanted to say as well. It's beautiful thing with the Emguarde that you can actually tap into the sovereign enterprise. That's right, Dolores, at a much lower entry level. And Tariq is going to walk you through this, but it's also opening up for so many more people that need an extra stream of income to actually get their own Emguarde and then actually tap into the sovereign enterprise model. Yeah, thank you so
yeah,
much.
so we have a question here from Kirsten, which is, are you sponsored by these companies? So to answer that from my side, and then maybe Maneka and Dolores, you can speak to that as well. This is the it's actually one company, and it's the one company that we've identified as tackling the most key common verticals simultaneously. So people need new avenues for wealth, they need better sources of health, and that is primarily through the air, water, food that we have, but also then the EMF frequencies. And if we can tackle those simultaneously under one roof, then it makes a lot of sense. And I know from having been involved with this for 5 years, and Maneka, I think very close to the same amount of time, you've been able to not only quit your job teaching, but also retire your husband, who actually gets to be at home with the kids now full time. And I know, Dolores, you've identified this as tackling those key verticals so it becomes a legitimate vehicle for freedom for the masses, right? While also having that go back into your body, into your health, into your family home. So when you combine this aspect, right, a lot of people are trading their time for jobs every day and will continue to for decades to come. What if there was a better way? What if there was a way where you actually got to be at home with your kids or got to actually be with your loved ones and you could fund your own passion projects? And I know, Maneka, for example, your beautiful property in Sweden, right, made possible because of this sovereign enterprise.
Mm, yes, so we're going to dive into how this works, the sovereign enterprise. But what I found during the years, actually, I worked over 20 years in international organizations. I've been in the New Earth Project and then the World Freedom Alliance and in democracy processes and so many different things. And for me, people always they were looking for finances, for research, for education, for this and that, but there is not a lot of finance for the things that really needs to happen. I know Dolores wants to, do a lot of really necessary research and education that is not supported through the ordinary models. And what I found in the end is that, I have to find a way to create income models that are good and that cannot actually finance all of these things that need to happen, because a problem out there is a lot of researchers, when they actually do real research, like we've seen that in the water community, in the medical community, in so many different areas, they get censored, they get thrown out, they don't get funding from the universities, etc. So we need to find models, what we found in the World Freedom Alliance as well, that we can support our own communities and that we can support the real things that need to happen so we can move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to add, when I was talking about alternatives to health like Nobel Prize winning vitamins, vitamin C and D, the School of Medicine in UCD on the 15th of March 2021 started proceedings of gross misconduct against me for what I may say in the future. And they instigated that on the 18th of March 2021. So I think many of us have volunteered and put huge amounts of money into all the initiatives, which we're very proud of, like the World Freedom Alliance, and given our time for free over the last 4 or 5 years. But we're now getting to the sovereign enterprise stage that, and also many people are waiting for water solutions, you know, and radiation solutions, so that at the minute they are living in cities and they are spending their time, you know, and being paid in fiat currency that could hyperinflate, and they don't have a position to grow their own food, and they have to use tap water. They're not on a farm where they can, you know, measure the water and it's a beautiful spring. So what we have to do is build the communities in these transition years to give them solutions that are available on the market that they can buy to keep themselves and their loved ones as healthy as possible and as free from the effects of toxic water and toxic radiation. And also what this system does is it allows us to build networks of doers, so that people who actually want to take the time to educate people, because everybody who's aware, probably 50% of people in Europe or America or across the world, they are looking for solutions for water and living near these 5G towers. And many of us, like Tariq and Maneka and a lot of people here, have been working on it for years. So in a way, we are providing education, but not in an exclusive way. Many of us have tried 3 or 4 different systems. There are other ways of EMF protecting, but what we're saying is, in the International Water Awareness, you can test your water and you can compare how good these solutions are, and you can get your EMF reader and compare whether this thing works or not, which is a very honorable, evidence-based approach. And just, we've been working as well in the World Freedom Alliance and Custodian Institute on trying to network people who are building communities, sovereign communities, cooperatives and health hubs around the world. And what we need to do is to support each other with the financial choices that we make, and not be afraid, in a way, to support business people, to support farmers, buy food from them, and to support these solutions. And just to add as well, I worked in a lot of the grant giving, you know, mechanisms, including in Ireland and Europe. And many of those would say, you know, the first words that a certain thing is safe and effective, or go from a premise that carbon is, or carbon dioxide is, a driver and one of the biggest problems. And a lot of the basis for getting funding for solutions is entirely incorrect. And what we're trying to do is to provide platforms for people now to move into a sovereign enterprise phase, and not to be, you know, afraid to say, you know, how you earn your income and whether you are involved in the system that may not be providing the best education or the best healthcare or the best water. We need to provide a mechanism for those people to become independent and then join in education communities or health communities or water provision communities that is ethical and provides solutions that are healthier, and definitively healthier, and that the people on the call can measure themselves and compare what we're recommending with others.
Thank you. Brilliantly said. Thank you, Dolores.
You're welcome.
So what you're looking at on screen at the moment, if you were to think of this as 3 different categories of how you approach your life and the work that you do, is most people are in the employed category, right? In the employed group. The thing is about that, over time, you are chasing paycheck to paycheck, which may have been fine 25 years ago, but due to hyperinflation, due to buying power decreasing so rapidly, right, and so much, I think the dollar has lost 95% of its value since it first made its appearance on the scene. That's a
Hey, let's go inside.
Oh. I'm just going to mute you here for a minute. Maneka, can you do that from your end, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So it would be fine, right? The idea of doing an honest day's work is all fair and good if the remuneration and the compensation for that work was also fair and honest, but it hasn't been. The dollar's lost 95% of its spending power, which means that people are having 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs, and they're still unable to provide for their families. I mean, it's It's ludicrous. And I actually think, this is my own personal opinion, that it's gotten this way because it's forcing us to step into sovereign enterprise. It's forcing us to become the stewards of our own destinies. So in the employed space, you have no time freedom, you have no automation, right? The work that you do today, if you stop doing it, you stop getting paid. There's no exponential income. There's a cap on your salary. Maybe you get a 2% salary bump, but then everything goes up through inflation, 8-10%. What good is that salary bump, right? So then you have the world of entrepreneurship. And that is where it's like, okay, I'm going to strike out on my own. I'm going to own a business. And what ends up happening for a lot of people is they think they're trying to own a business, but the business ends up owning them. And so now they've created a whole new job for themselves. It might be an area that they're more passionate about or that they have more expertise or skills in, but they're still trading their time for this business. And this is the entrepreneur hustle, right? And I'm sure you've heard this before. Also, no time freedom. In fact, probably working a lot more than you did when you were employed. Also, no automation, no guaranteed exponential income, no guarantee that your product or your service or your offering is actually needed in the world or people desire to have it, right? There's all of these unproven variables, no guaranteed legacy income. And then you have the sovereign enterprise model, which is true time freedom. Now, this means that you wake up without an alarm clock. You can wake up and do what you want each and every day, not just the weekends, not just on a 2-week holiday. And that is a completely different reality to live. And it's one that I can say, people say like, I'm unemployed. I'm like, no, I'm unemployable. I haven't had a traditional job in well over 12 years. And it was only 5 years ago that I discovered this sovereign enterprise model. And I'm like, wow, this is so much better than the entrepreneur hustle. Right? So now you have automation. Now you have systems where you actually have technology working for you. The possibility of exponential income, where you could make twice as much, 4 times as much, 6 times, 8 times as much within a year, within 2 years, within 3 years. It's all possible for you here. There's no cap like a salary. And the possibility of legacy income. What that means is you can still get paid years down the line for what you do today, which just simply does not exist in the employed world. I could speak to this with a lot more length, but we'll keep it succinct here. I don't know if Maneka or Dolores, you want to chime in on that before I continue.
Well, maybe just to quickly add, I think what we're moving to is like this is in a way a merit-based model, whereas in their system it's all tick boxing, how many whatever different types of people do we have, and if we're looking for someone, it's not the best person or the one that works the most effective, which may not be the most time wise. So what this has done, and I'm in a way learning from what Tariq you've done and Maneka's done, is the combination of good quality products that already integrate automation so that a lot of the work is done already, and then we're only really providing education for people who may be in the market for a water solution and for an EMF solution. They're going to buy one anyway, and then it's up to them for us to provide the information. But if us in the networking want to then become free and have time to, we'll say, build farms or to volunteer, then the combination of the products being ethical, being what people want in the sovereign enterprise and freedom community anyway, and then there's just a win-win that the people who provide the most education maybe become the most free and also financially and enterprise sovereign. And we're building up communities in different countries as well. And if other people have other solutions, the aim is that we will use our network to provide other health solutions.
Yeah, I can just add to that. I mean, what do you mean with sovereign enterprise? For me, to be sovereign is both that you are free. I mean, sovereign is freedom to be where you want to be, to work when you want to work, and that we're all independently working with this in collaboration and in community. So you're not alone in this, but still you are completely independent and sovereign, which for me is where we're moving towards. It's kind of like a mind shift also, where we need to leave the old ways of like having a boss and someone telling you what to do, those kind of things behind. And we need to like see the possibility and the vision of actually collaborating and working together and making much, much more than you could possibly imagine doing in the old paradigm in a way.
Yeah, I remember that moment actually for you, Maneka, where you made 6 months worth of teaching salary in 1 month, and you were like, "Oh wow, okay, now I see the power of this freedom model," and you've never looked back since.
That was month 3 in the business. It was just, yeah, that was crazy. It was just such an explosion.
And I think as well, many of us, if we do have this income, want to renovate or provide farms or health hubs or educational platforms for other people to come and provide courses. So a lot of us in the sovereign freedom community really have a vision that we can connect people that have lots of solutions that maybe don't have the time freedom or don't have the ability to progress their entrepreneurial ideas, and we want to provide a network or hundreds of people maybe that if you do have a book or you do have a course or a detox model, that we can just link people through the various meetings and course platforms that we have, and then it's kind of made the best product or the best detox solution with the most merit then will succeed. So it's kind of absolutely a merit based connection and network that we're trying to build.
Absolutely, and I think I'll just add to that. There's a lot of shiny objects out there, and really when it comes to something that can provide a legacy for you and your family, you want something that has stood the test of time. Like I remember, for example, during the last global shutdown, let's call it as a euphemism, there were a lot of people who lost their livelihoods. There were a lot of people who had to comply with, pretty stringent and strict intrusions on who they are as people in order to be able to put food on the table. And I know that from seeing how this particular sovereign enterprise business supported us, supported you and your family, Maneka, supported many of our friends all around the world. I was like, okay, this is now proven to me that in the tough times, we can count on this, because this particular sovereign enterprise actually grew by 17% in 2020 alone. So to have that kind of robust global infrastructure of a 50-year-old company that has its roots deeply embedded means it's not going anywhere, means that you can rely on it, means that if there's a supply chain breakdown or a distribution issue, right? Because this company doesn't outsource any products. There aren't little satellite factories in Korea or China. It's an original equipment manufacturer, an OEM. And so because of that, right, there's all of these things that we don't have the time and capacity to go into on this call. But when you add them all up together, you really see how this is a vehicle for your health, for your vitality, but also for your legacy, also for a way out of the traditional 9 to 5 grind or even the entrepreneurship hustle.
Well said.
And also here, and Maneka, you can jump in with this a little bit, but unlike, let's say, because people would be like, oh, well, this sounds like this MLM thing I once did, or this sounds like a network marketing thing I once did. A typical network marketing company, first of all, because products are like shakes or creams or supplements or oils, you would have to sell hundreds, if not thousands of oils and creams every month in order to make a real dent in your income. Secondly, if you stopped selling hundreds of creams or shakes or oils, then you lose your place. You have to start all over. It's not dependable. It's not something that you can rely on. With this sovereign enterprise that we're talking about, once you're in, you're in. You never have to start all over. You will never lose your place. You can take a 5-year hiatus and come back and you'll pick up exactly where you left off. And that is a level of non-penalty and a level of support that I've never seen anywhere else. And that's what makes this special. That's what makes it different. And once you've helped hundreds of people indirectly all around the world, you start to hit these leadership levels where you start to get these quite substantial bonuses for the level of impact that you're creating. And then once you've helped 1,000 people indirectly, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to go and help 1,000 people. And this might take you 5 years. It might take you 7 years. But once you've helped 1,000 people indirectly, then this sovereign enterprise will pay you the equivalent of €3,500 every single month for the rest of your life, willable to your kids, which means your kids never have to work. Now, I just want you to project telescopically what that can mean for your family's future. That is what legacy means, true legacy. And that's why we stand behind this. That's why we are passionate about this, because not only is it working for us, but many, many people we know, and we know that this is a legitimate path to freedom, while also putting that back into your health, putting that back into your body, into your home, for your family. It really is a win-win.
Mm. Thank you, Tariq. And just to say, we won't go deeply into, the whole business model here, but I want to mention that it took Enagic 2 years to develop it. It's also patented, which means that there is no other system out there. It's easy to compare, or you think about something in the past that you've done, but this is actually very, very unique, and it's really a win-win system that I know I can stand behind completely. And I've seen it work for me and my family. There are thousands of other families out there that have changed, and just the stress has been gone. And like, you don't have to work an ordinary 9 to 5 job. You can be with your kids. You can do your passion projects, and that is, for me, that's a real change. That's something that can actually make a change for kids out there, for families out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm so thankful for this community, for all of you. And the important thing is also that you're not alone in this, that we're actually doing this together. This is a photo from last year. We had a Wild and Free festival here in Stockholm. Dolores was there, Tariq was
Yeah.
speaking. We had people coming from all over the world. And our mentors, Balazs, Christy, Clint, they're from Australia, from Canada, from all over the world. They came there to mentor us, to support us here in Europe, because when we win, they win as well. So this is done in a way where we actually do become like a family, in a way where we also really focused work on the mindset and the team building and setting your goals, to be clear about that this process that we're in of becoming our own entrepreneurs is very much about the inner work. It's actually like right now, you're kind of pushing yourself just enough all the time, developing. Like right now, me and Dolores, we're like really expanding and moving into automation. And I know you are, Tariq, too. And it's kind of like, yeah, you feel pushed. It's like, oh my God, this is new. Like we're expanding in rapid phase. But you're doing that all the time to also expand your vision of what is possible for you to create here.
And maybe just to echo that as well, Maneka, that many of you and Tariq and your mentors that have given you the information have this beautiful model that people very close to the people get the most incentive, we'll say, to actually sell the product, which is completely different to the standard one. And that I have helped bring in some of my network of people who volunteered for me over the years in order to give them the gift of the water and their loved ones and families, but also that even if they don't work, that within our community that will grow, later than them, that they have the opportunity to come into this legacy model themselves. Because what I've been finding is there's not that many people that actually are entrepreneurial in general, much less than you think. So that really strategically, if we support the people that have the bandwidth to see what's going on and actually able to provide solutions, whether it's books or detox protocols or help people building communities or co-ops or health hubs, that in a way it's a beautiful thing that we can do to give them the gift of pristine and structured and healthy water, but also that we help them have a legacy of the potential of freedom in the years to come through this automation and the gift of giving the water and the EMF solutions to hundreds of people. So it completely resonates with me that we're building a network of people that will be healthier, more robust, and also entrepreneurial, because a lot of people are waiting for the food markets and the health hubs and a whole detox journey protocol to make it easier for them. And that's in a way what all of us are really networked to do in the future with the financial freedom and sovereignty that we'll get through this community.
And I think the important thing is that we have the education and we have the automation in place so that you can build this up on the side. Like for me, I was working as a teacher. We had a company. I had 3 kids. Like if you have excuses, like I had all the excuses. I made it happen just in pockets of my time. So I built this up over 1 year so that I could quit my teacher's job after a year. But I was super dedicated as of like an entrepreneur. I knew that, yeah, you need to put in the time. This is not just an easy fix quick thing. You need to educate yourself. You need to build your own automation systems. We have it all there for you. But when you have done that, then the wheels start spinning and it's going to work for you. So that's a lot of the freedom and actual sovereignty in this enterprise is to find models such as Project Legacy that a lot of us are working with. We also have the Freedom Air community. We have different educational platforms. But this is the way where anyone, and I mean anyone, it doesn't matter if you have an education or your background, if you have a social media following, anything like that, you can actually start from knowing nothing at all. Like some of the top leaders, they've been like door-to-door salesmen or cafe owners or like what do you say, fitness trainers, and they've come so far. So it's about you valuing what we have here, value your time, and really make sure that you use your time wisely and not just, stay stuck in the running just to keep your head above water, if you want to say that. So this is a long-term plan for you where you learn to work smarter and not harder, and where it will actually support you to do the wider things, the more things that you're here to create, and not just spend time on surviving, which a lot of people unfortunately are doing in this day and time.
Yeah, well said, Maneka. We're here to live, not simply survive. And for those of you who are on the call with us live right now, I know you've heard a lot from us, but what would you do with extra freedom right now in your life? What would the passion projects that you would like to self-fund be? Like, let us know in the chat. Like, let's get some dream building happening here, because it is possible for you. You don't need a special skill set. You don't need a special education. You don't need to be good on camera. You don't need to know how to write. You don't need to know how to speak particularly well. Because of the automation and the systems that we've recently been able to leverage, it means that you can have this running on autopilot in the background once it's set up, which is just amazing. You can literally be creating income and impact while you sleep. And doing that while supporting people and the planet is just a beautiful win-win. So I see here, Louise says connecting communities. Remy says create music and spread healing all over the world. So keep these coming. What would you do with more freedom? For me, it's wake up every day and do what I like. So for example, earlier on today, I mean, I know today happens to be an end of the week day, but it may as well be Tuesday. And for me, I like sitting in the sun. I like reading books. I like training, and I get to do that. And I think so many people, they're so caught up in this loop that they don't have the time to actually think, what is it that I want to do with my life? Because it's just constantly doing. Jenny, produce food together in a community. Beautiful. And I see Tove, you were asking what the products cost. There are a variety of different ways to get started, depending on your budget, how you want to grow, how fast you want to achieve this freedom. So there's many options, and the sovereign enterprise model really respects and meets people in a variety of different financial situations and circumstances. So we recognize not everybody has the means to create the freedom, otherwise they would have had it, right? Like, oh, if I had more time and more freedom, I would create more time and freedom. And unfortunately, there is a bit of a catch-22. You either have to buy back your time or you have to use your time to create that freedom. There is some kind of trade-off that has to happen. And the statement freedom isn't free is what comes back to me. And it sounds unfair when you hear it the first time, but there's a lot of people that want freedom, but there are fewer people who actually put themselves on the path to get it, who have the discipline, who actually say yes to themselves and have the vehicles to be able to create it. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference between wanting freedom and actually putting the infrastructure in place to have it. Faye, educate people on the health and environmental hazards of single-use plastic. That sounds like a very aligned mission there. Stina says travel more time to spread holistic health to humans and to nature. Zafira says make an ebook and videos for dental prevention. Do more dancing, that I also love. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
I can just jump in there, Tariq, as well about getting started. I think there are lots of different ways for it. Really depends on your situation. So the best way is to jump on a call with one of us and really don't be a stranger. Like we really want to support you. We want to sit and just be honest and real about where you're coming from. So even though you might not have, if you don't have that much funds to put in from the start, or if you have, you're like we were like, yes, we're all in, like what do we need to do, like we'll put in what we need. Like there are different variations, but I think what we forgot to mention, that the only one thing that Enagic requires is that you own your own Enagic technology. That's it, like nothing else, like no requirements. You don't have to do XYZ every month and this and that. Like if you own an Emguarde, a water technology,
A shower, yeah.
yeah, a shower. They also have a shower unit. We didn't dive into, all the details, but that is it. Then you can also tap into this other stream of income.
Yeah, beautifully said, Maneka.
But
So
jump on a call with us, because we know all the different variations, and we can listen to you and listen to your goals and listen to what you can put in. If it's time you can put in, or if it's finances, there are different ways to get started.
absolutely. So if you have any questions for us, please feel free to put them in now. We'd love to take a couple of minutes and just answer those for you. Huge thank you to Maneka and Professor Dolores for being here with us, and
Lovely.
really, you have some people who are a wealth of knowledge. So if you have questions, like you're in the room with the right people, feel free to ask the right questions. And also what I will say is this, right? We've been so conditioned that the normal way of doing things is normal. And I would put to you that the normal way is extremely abnormal, right? It's not normal to be just above sick and call it being healthy. It's not normal to be just above struggling and call it doing well. I think we've set the bar so low for what normal is that we've forgotten what it's like to actually live. And when it comes to having the freedom, right? Because I know some people, they might tune into this and they'll say like, oh, so basically this is a presentation, and there's a financial tie-in. And I want you to know that the people on this call, leading this call, already have their time, are already free in the ways that a lot of people want to be. So you becoming a part of this won't make us free, but you becoming a part of this might make you free. And I want you to really just soak in those words, right? Like we already have time freedom. We already have a degree of financial independence, and we're working our way to, we already have location freedom as well. And we're already working our way to higher levels of financial independence, higher levels of financial freedom and impact, and being able to create a legacy. So we're already well on that path. So don't think that you not becoming a part of this is impacting us. Think about how it's impacting you. Is the way that you're doing things right now going to lead you where you want to be, right? If you say right now, I don't have the time or money, will that also be the reality 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? Or does something need to change, right? Have you ever heard that statement? If nothing changes, then nothing changes. So
And I think maybe, Tariq, just to add to that, what we've been doing with our networks are things like setting up the World Freedom Alliance, or setting up, research institutes, or international water awareness, or we have a whole network of co-ops and farmers, and also people with health hubs that we're linking for all the farmers who want to provide the produce to their local markets, and then to integrate people to work together, and then in the longer term to build trial by jury to hold people accountable, you know, to teach people how do you hold individuals that may have caused harm, which is a longer term process, but we need to do it through our network. So just to echo that, many of us are more time rich, and then with the time, we are building kind of key infrastructures. And in the World Freedom Alliance, it's an alliance of existing alliances to prevent duplication and to support each other. And then what we're doing with this is to build a network of people that themselves can become more time rich. And then if they want to grow their own food, or they want to build their own cooperative communities, or they want to support in any way the physicians and the farmers that are bringing health solutions to their community, that we can also bring our reach of people, you know, to each other. And if you're censored by the financial community, by the investment community, you know, which many of us are, that we can actually support each other with the various products and solutions that we have to build just networks on the ground. So it's exactly right, Tariq, that in a way we are trying to give back by our time, the education and the solutions that we've researched, that are evidence-based, and everybody here can check out the evidence and look at it for themselves. And then in turn, there may be people who are under bullied in their work, or who may have been involved in something that they regret now and coerced other people. And there's many industries that have done that, and people that feel sick when they get up on Monday morning, that if nobody is providing a way out of that, people will be demoralized and, you know, feel like, what can I do? How can I get out of this? And this is one of the ways that we see that people can benefit from the products, and also provide a mechanism to remove themselves from their system and support sovereignty and enterprise and freedom in a practical way by their choices, by financially.
I just saw that there was a question here. Let's see. I tuned in late. Want to learn more? Tell me who to contact. So the answer to that is that you contact the person who invited you to this webinar to book a call. So if you saw a post on Facebook, if you got an email, you return to that person. If you're like, I have no idea where I found you guys, just let us know, and we'll, you know, work that out for you and see, and definitely support you and help you. So, I mean, for us, we have links where we send you the link, and you will go through a step-by-step education process, where I think most of us do have that here on the team. So you go through that process, so you learn more in-depth information in the education, and then you will book a call with us, and we'll go through, you know, the details there.
And maybe it's just that what we're trying to do is to move the contacts further down in our network. That's what Maneka is saying, is whoever brought you in, you will contact them. Maybe not us directly. It's like layers down, and we don't individually benefit, but we're just trying to spread the information so that, you know, people closer to you will be your network.
Because this is how this is built, that those that you know, that you want to work with, that you collaborate good with, that's the ones that you team up with. And then in the end, everyone benefits, but it's those closest to you where you get also the financial return. Further down the line, like, you don't actually get any financial benefits, but we support each other, everyone here anyway. So yeah, that's how it.
And that's very ethical and honorable in a way. We're doing it because other people took the time to explain it to us. And even though we don't directly benefit, we're just trying to spread the information, and also the mindset about entrepreneurship, you know, and that if we support each other by, whether it's toothpaste or honey or the source of water or whatever it is, that then people can become independent or transition to even being an extra day a week and see some future in educating themselves and providing information to other people. It's really a win-win and a giving of information. And then if people can challenge the information, of course, and determine for themselves what are the optimal solutions.
Yeah. So I thank you all for your time. Thank you for being here with us live and for bringing your energy and your greatest gift, which is your presence. Big thank you to Professor Dolores Cahill and Maneka Helleberg and all of you for showing up. So you by now will feel if this is right for you, great. If this is not, that's totally fine too. At least you have the information and you can make an educated decision. Just get back to the person or people who introduced you to this or who invited you to be part of this webinar. They will have the next steps for you. And if it's one of us, just reach out to one of us. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon. And if we're going to create freedom, we are the ones to do it. We can it's time to stop outsourcing this idea of when the politicians change or when the food industry changes or when this changes. It's like we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. So
And
thank you
just to
all.
finish off, one of my phrases is, if not now, when? If not, it's not mine, but if not now, when? And if not us, who? You know, it's not my phrase, but I think it's very pertinent. Like the time is now, and it's us.
Yeah, we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no rescue squad. Like we are the rescue squad.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tariq. Thank you, Dolores.
Thank you, Tariq. Thank you, Maneka, and everyone here.
Thank
Lovely.
you.
Bye bye for now. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.